teaching people how to use their head. The point is that in order to use your head, you have to go out of your mind.
To think for yourself and question authority.
You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world.
Welcome to Free Your Effing Mind. I'm your host, Jonesy. I'm a Los Angeles stand-up comedian that's pissed off, and some of the stuff that makes me angry I can't really talk about on stage. So this is the format that I've chosen to share these ideas with you, these points of view, these opinions. I'm angry. I'm not pleased by my culture, by the institutions within this culture, and I want to free myself from them. I don't want them to have much influence or control over my life, and I sort of encourage you to do the same, and I think we can find happiness this way by creating our own culture, creating our own communities, creating our own road show, all right? And that's the way to true happiness. So in this episode, I'm going to speak about why it's a dumb idea to go to Mars, among other things. Start with a little positive, encouraging story. There's an asteroid passing our atmosphere, FYI. Let me get you some information on that. Asteroid Space Rock 2014 J025 is going to soar past Earth on April 19th. There's no possibility that the asteroid will collide with us, NASA says. It'll zoom by the Earth at a distance of 1.1 million miles, or 5 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon. It's the closest this asteroid has come to Earth for at least the last 400 years. And you can see this thing if you have a small telescope. Personally, I don't have a telescope because I like to get laid and shit. But you might have a telescope. Of course, the moment I sit down to record a podcast, the cops are looking for somebody outside my fucking apartment. You hear the sirens, and did you hear the helicopters earlier? Good times. These are the good times. How to watch the flyby. I'll post a link to how to watch that. It's a good way to impress somebody that you're trying to get in bed. You know, hey, I know when giant rocks are going to pass the Earth, and I know which ones are pretty, and I can show you one if you want. Would you like to have more of this whiskey? The scientific community can get laid after all. You just got to get a little crafty. All right, you gotta mix your sort of celestial events with a little alcohol. This story makes me think of a sort of organization that I have to back up and pimp out a little bit. They have an Indiegogo. The project is Help Defend Earth Against Asteroid Threats. This is a group of scientists. And they have an Indiegogo campaign. I'll put a link to that as well in the description. While scientists and governments, agencies around the world are aware of the potential threat of asteroid collision, no major funding has yet been designated for a near-Earth object. The Emergency Asteroid Defense Project is a partnership of scientists, engineers, experts, entrepreneurs, and global citizens dedicated to studying, testing, and constructing an asteroid defense strategy here and now before it's too late. That's great. Because with the current NASA budgets for 2018 per Trump, certain programs are cut, including the Asteroid Redirect Mission. So that is not going to be funded. So that's going to be left on the floor there, and that's important research. You know, more and more we're seeing these asteroids coming very close to the Earth, and we need to study this stuff and figure out a way to deflect these things if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible, but, you know, I think anything's might be possible if we really put our heads together. Not anything, and I'll talk about Mars later, but and this is something to do with Mars, because in my opinion, this is a better place for NASA to be spending its research dollars in protecting this planet, not trying to colonize another planet whose environment is so ghastly and uninhabitable that it's just a waste of money and brain energy, to be honest with you. A story about our shitty culture. I did a terrible song on the first episode, but let me... I want to talk about our shitty culture. It's so shitty, let me tell you why it's shitty. It's so stupid. And if you open your eyes, you see. Little R&B. That's a terrible version of it, too. Maybe one of you guys will write me an Our Shitty Culture jingle, and I'll put that in. That would be amazing if you did that. I would love you forever. Forever and ever. Okay, this is an article I will also post to this about how millennials don't eat cereal anymore, and how cereal companies and advertisers are trying to buck that trend. Great, it's good times. Yeah, I don't know what the stats are. Let's see. The article mentions cereal-based breakfast eaten at home dropped from 31% in 2008 to 26% in 2015. The biggest reason, I guess, millennials have been identified as a health-conscious bunch. They're willing to spend more time and money on wellness activities and healthier foods, and this is really where their cereal sensibilities, or lack of, come into play. And that's what has, advertisers and cereal companies up in arms. These kids are just healthy, man. What are we going to do about this? How shitty is that the FDA lets them get away with this? This is what I'm talking about, my shitty culture. They're so shitty. These institutions are so fucked up. The FDA is not at all concerned with your fucking health. They're in the pockets of these cereal companies, which is basically sugar dealers, right? They're a bunch of fucking sugar dealers who are experiencing some profit loss. Oh my God. And it's these goddamn kids are getting healthy, and what are we going to do about that? Well, hey FDA. Well, FDA, previously you allowed us to put some stuff on the box to say that it was really, really healthy for you, part of the food groups and all that. I mean, let's see. They got some tactics here. Let's see what they're trying to do to get millennials to buy cereal more. Okay. Here's something that happened. Cinnamon Toast Crunch launched a cruiser that you can actually ride. It's like this electronic little cruiser. At the top of it, where the handles are, there's a bowl to put cereal in so you can eat while you cruise. Like a hoverboard with a handle. It looks like a miniature Segway with a cereal bowl at the top. And it's purple, which is the same color of Cinnamon Toast Crunch's brand, I guess. And, I mean, can you get any more dumb? It is so fucking stupid that you would do this. You have to look at this thing. You have to see the pictures of this thing. It is insulting. It's a fucking embarrassment. I'm embarrassed for my culture. It's as if a fucking fake Segway is going to incite millennials to eat more cereal. Who comes up with this shit? I mean, you have to be kidding me. Imagine being in a boardroom and they're like, hey, how do we sell more cereal? Some dude's like, a miniature Segway with a bowl on top and make it the color of our brand. Yeah. They want to... Yeah, as if that's fucking safe to eat and Segway around the city. How many lawsuits do you want? You're going to get hit by a bus because you're eating cereal while you do it. Well, it's encouraging that I eat cereal while I ride it downtown. Stupid ass. Fucking so dumb. General Mills. Just evil. Okay, so then Kellogg's, what have they done? They've actually somehow convinced a giant Midwestern grocery store chain called Meijer to move the boxes of Frosted Flakes, Honey Smacks, and Mini Wheats to the produce aisle. How's that shit? They've yeah, we'll get it over to the produce aisle. Yeah, we'll put it next to the fucking celery. They'll look at be like, yes, I can see that Fruit Loops are the same color of these other things. Oh my God, it must be just as healthy. People know that Fruit Loops aren't fruit, right? Are we in agreement of that? Fruit Loops are not fruit? Okay. And, shame on you, Meijer. Shame on you for taking a bribe from Kellogg's to do this. You can go fuck yourself too, Meijer, for taking a bribe to put the cereal there to confuse the citizens. It's fucking unbelievable, these people. You have to empower yourself. Don't be a fucking idiot. Okay. Realize that Honey Smacks, a super sugary bullshit, isn't the same as an avocado. I mean, is that common sense? Do we have to have a class for this fucking shit? Cheerios tried to get into the marketing of this whole protein movement. Apparently, so there's been a protein movement, and cereal. There's like people are like want more protein in their shit. So now Cheerios is like, hey, 11 grams of protein, puts it right on the box. They're like trying to. This is why advertising. You have to be crafty to not be fooled by advertising. You have to actually look at the box and look at the other shit. Well, how much sugar is on here? How much cholesterol is in this? Huh? What else is going on in this shit? If you're just choosing your diet based on protein only, you're a moron to begin with. So get it together. And this is just like this is about empowering yourself, not being fooled by advertising, not being fooled by the placement of a product in an area of the store. Okay, look at this for what it is, and don't buy into it. This is what I'm talking about. But you cannot trust the institutions. You cannot trust corporations. You cannot trust the advertising industry. You cannot trust the Food and Drug Administration. You can't even trust the group that your government creates to give you health advice. You cannot. You cannot. You have to educate yourself, and you have to see through the foolery, which is advertising, and you have to make smart choices. Do not listen to anybody. Fucking learn for yourself. Experiment on your own body. Get your shit together and get it under control. And just because, fucking Fruity Pebbles are next to the turnips doesn't mean, this is okay for your body. This is not okay for your body. I feel like a fucking parent at this point. And before I move on, good for you millennials for not eating cereal. I had lost faith in you millennials on many, many reasons. I think you're a bunch of idiots for the most part, but good for you. This is one of the choices that you've made that is smart, and keep it up. Do not give General Mills and those companies your money. Okay, let's talk about the crux of this whole episode today, which is what I wanted to get into, which is, there's been a movement in the culture that there's been a movement in our culture whereby we're all sort of being sold the idea that going to Mars is a good idea, something we should shoot for. Yeah, we should go to Mars. Mars is the thing. I think a lot of people are taking this information without scrutinizing it and just saying like, oh, agreeing. Oh, yeah, Mars is great. Mars is a good plan. Why do you think that is? Well, because there's a lot of blogs about it these days and YouTube videos, and NASA's all about it, and the government is. And that Elon Musk guy, he's got to be smart. I mean, he put a super powerful battery in a car, and so he must know what he's talking about. Well, you have to actually dig around to find articles in media that tells you going to Mars is a stupid idea. And why is that? I don't know, but it's the reality. And so I want to talk about that today, because I don't want you to. This is what I'm talking about by cultural illusions. Do not buy into the media. Question authority. Question the media. Question advertising. Question everything. Does Mars seem like a good idea to you? Like in your gut. I think if you ask your gut, oh no, that's probably stupid. Stupid idea. The money it would take to make that an inhabitable place, we could actually make a paradise on Earth. A place that already has water. Let's keep it clean and stay here. How about fucking that? But people don't question these things. They just take it like, oh yeah, okay, everyone's saying going to Mars is cool. So, oh man, what's that quote that I love? Public opinion should be rejected on principle. And that's how I live my fucking life. And you should too. What does that mean? That means what everybody's saying, question it. Look into sources. Where do they come from? Where is this information coming from? When you dig around a little bit, first of all, you'll notice that people aren't passing on the proper information half the time. Secondly, some of this information is questionable from the source, from the get-go. Thirdly, it makes you think for yourself, which is something we should all be doing anyways. So this episode is about discouraging Mars exploration, discouraging Mars habitation plans. I would discourage everyone from blogging about Mars, posting pictures of it and videos as well. It's just a fucking waste of time. It's a pretty red planet. Let's keep it in its distance and just admire it like we do, I don't know, the moon or something. Oh, yeah, that's some pretty shit. Yeah. But going there, it's fucking out of the question, okay? It's the dumbest shit. Mainstream media, though, isn't about the truth. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in clicks. And you know what story doesn't sell? You know what story doesn't get clicks? Mars is a bad idea. That doesn't get clicks. What get clicks is, hey, man, we just discovered that you could probably put an in-ground pool on Mars. All right. We don't know if that's entirely true, but we're thinking about it. So let's put it out there into the media. Mars is a terrible fucking place. Radiation exposure, number one. Okay. Both cosmic and solar radiation. This is an issue. And, Earth has its own atmosphere, and it's a strong magnetosphere, and it deflects most of the radiation. Mars does not. The Mars atmosphere is 1% of the thickness of Earth's. 1%. That means very little. That means this atmosphere, not only is it not deflecting solar and cosmic radiation, but it's also not keeping out celestial objects like rocks, meteors, asteroids. Some of these things, most of these things get burned up in the Earth's atmosphere on their way in. And then when they finally hit, they're like the size of a golf ball or a tennis ball. You find them all over the ice at the poles. They're finding all these rocks that have landed. They come in. Yeah, they come in, but they've been ruined by our atmosphere, broken apart. And that is a safety net for us. Mars doesn't have that. So you know what so you're in the middle of a hoops game, right? You're about to shoot a 3. Oh, and you get hit with an asteroid and you're dead and your team loses. That happens on Mars. The rocks just come right through. Nothing stops them. So no atmosphere. And guess what, assholes? Walmart doesn't sell Earth atmosphere. It just doesn't. Where do you can't make it. Okay? It can't be generated. So, and if it could, imagine the cost. Ridiculous. You could fix this atmosphere, make it twice as strong for the price of making an atmosphere that doesn't exist on Mars exist. What are the effects of radiation? We know, right? Brain damage, Alzheimer's, radiation breaks down your DNA, your molecules. It damages and kills cells, causes deformities. Some long-term effects include cataracts, increased chance of cancer, sterility. We all know these things. We all know cancer, right? That's enough, right? Cancer. Genetic mutation can be fun. I agree. I would like to have 3 penises. That sounds like a good time at the whorehouse for me. But let's be real. Do I want to go on Mars and live there for, 14 months to get some sort of strange deformity that probably won't even be extra penises, which would be nice. Instead, it would probably be like a third ear, which is fucking creepy. Let's face it. It's creepy. And that's not going to get me a date, all right? I'm going to be shunned on these dating apps, They're going to be like, hey, I'm 5'7", got a third ear. I don't know if that's a deal breaker, but give me a chance. I'm a good listener. Definitely a better listener than your ex-boyfriend. Okay, number 2 is the incoming objects like space garbage, meteors, dead strippers. No, I'm just kidding. Dead strippers probably aren't landing on Mars. But there's no atmosphere to protect your shit. You know what I'm saying? So daily objects landing in your backyard and on your house are probably a way of life over there. So that's just another thing you got to think about when you're building a home. We complain about a little bit of hail. Imagine fucking boulders the size of an IKEA futon, landing on your dog while you're walking it. That's fucked up. All right. The effects of microgravity. We have adapted on Earth to this particular gravity. It's a specific gravity. Our muscles and bones have formed to this gravity. They form with that gravitational pressure. They form perfectly. They're meant for this gravity and this gravity only. Even our organs work with this gravity. The heart works against this gravity. The heart is accustomed to beating a certain pace, a certain pressure for this gravity. The circulatory system has evolved to fit this gravity. Okay. We've evolved to live with this gravity. This is something that we never think about. You don't think about this shit. No, of course not. You don't think about how your blood flows according to this gravity. And if you take away some of it or add some of it, what's that going to do to the system? What's that going to do to the performance? We don't know. In prolonged space, astronauts have experienced a condition called getting soft. It's real. The muscles become flabby. The bones become weaker. There's a loss of minerals, in the bones. Bone degeneration occurs. A loss of calcium occurs. A form of it's a term, space osteoporosis. It's a real thing. And calcium, that's a loss of calcium. Calcium is 99% of our bones. And you're going to go to an environment where just the loss of calcium is a everyday thing. Bad idea. Fuckface. And what happens when the loss of calcium? It exits, right, and enters our bloodstream. Okay? And that's huge problems. Calcium in your bloodstream like that. The weightlessness. Okay? Now, body fluids migrate up, and this is why astronauts look plump in the face in a weightless environment after some time. Yeah, I've noticed that when they're on. You're just like, oh, these guys are all fat. No. They're shit goes up in weightless. So the fluids are up here. A lot of them should be down here, or more evenly dispersed. Okay, what's the prolonged effect of that? I don't fucking know. You fat face. How long can you live with fat face? I mean, I feel like you pass out after a while. Now, astronauts also. This is interesting. They don't know when their bladder's full until the last minute, until the bladder's at its limit, because liquid doesn't settle like it does on Earth. The liquid in our bladder settles down. Well, in space, it doesn't settle like that. So astronauts don't know they have to pee until the very last minute. I'd imagine they're pissing themselves all the time. Do you want to live in an environment where you're going to be pissing yourself? Huh? Do you want to live in that kind of environment? Without gravity, there's something called space vision. More blood pressure in the head rises, damages nerves in the back of the eyes. Oh, shit, space vision. That's awful. Shit. You can't play softball with space vision. Can't see that shit. How are you going to hit it? Mars is only 38% of the Earth's gravity, by the way. And we cannot authentically replicate this Mars atmosphere to test what the hell is going to happen. Resistance suits don't even cut it. Okay, so we have no idea. Some summary is you arrive at Mars with impaired vision, bone loss, osteoporosis, and possibly brain damage. And you've just arrived. Yay, now build humanity. Build a community. Yeah, with your fucked up brain damage. Now begin to build humanity. Welcome, brain damage. Now start humanity. Real fucking fun. Oh, and here's a kicker. There's no medical facilities. No advanced medical equipment is going to be found. You're only going to have the medical stuff that you just bring up there with you on your initial flights, right? You're going to have like meager medical supplies that you can take with you. So it's basically some Band-Aids in a fanny pack. Yeah, no MRIs, no X-ray machines. Oh, and also no machines that test for cancer, those machines that look for your body for cancer, in an environment where cancer is everywhere. That's fucking helpful. So, I mean, if you got lumps in your tits and your balls, I mean, you can find that by feeling around. But anywhere else, cancer, you're just not going to know. You just assume that you have it everywhere. Okay. Also, the Martian dust is a problem. It's some kind of silica that embeds in your lungs. Your body can't remove it. You have difficulty breathing. Cancer risk, lung failure, a thing. Basically, you can't inhale it, and it's everywhere. So that's a fucking problem. And it gets all over all the electronic equipment and ruins shit. It sticks to solar panels, and then you can't use those forever. It's so fucking annoying. Dust storms are a problem. This shit's everywhere, man. The dust storms are so huge that they can actually block out the sun for like a long time, and which, again, if you're running on solar power, that's going to be a fucking problem. Scientists have no known solution for the problem of Martian dust, and they admit it. I guess just never open doors, maybe? Martian time is an issue. It's 40 minutes longer than an Earth day. Now, that seems harmless, but there's issues here. I'm going to read some nerd shit. I'm going to get all nerdy on your ass, okay? The Martian day is 24.65 hours. That's the Martian solar day-night cycle, which is outside the range of entrainment of the human circadian pacemaker under lighting intensities to which astronauts are typically exposed. Fucking wrap your head around that. Failure to so this is what happens when you can't do that. So failure... trying to get in focus here. Failure to entrain the circadian timekeeping system to the desired rest activity cycle disturbs your sleep and impairs cognitive function. So, in other words, that's what's happening long term. Furthermore, differences between the intrinsic circadian period and the Earth's 24-hour light-dark cycle underlie human circadian rhythm sleep disorders, such as advanced sleep phase disorder and non-24-hour sleep-wake disorders. Great. So now you're tired as shit all the time, and you're fucking frustrated because you can't sleep correctly because your circadian rhythms are all fucked up. Great. See, that's another thing. Circadian rhythms we have that were developed in this environment. Now we're going to a place where it's a little off. It's a little off. And how's that going to affect? Well, we just don't know. But it seems like it's going to be shitty. You think you're fucking moody now with your PMS. Well, add never getting fucking REM sleep to that. Okay. Earth soil contributes to our well-being, and there is no Earth soil on Mars. And the cost of bringing Earth soil up there is tremendous. Okay? Our Earth soil is an ecosystem of its own. It's teeming with microbiota, life, bacteria, worms, insects, protozoa, if I may be so fancy. This is something humans have not tried to live without yet. Our bodies have evolved with these microorganisms in our digestive system. What happens to us if we don't have healthy gut flora? What happens if we don't ingest plants that have evolved within this soil? The nutrients within the soil, we don't know. On my previous episode, there was some sort of indoor farming techniques that were being experimented in Jersey, and that's this is another thing we have to just figure this out because we're going to need to grow it without the soil, maybe, because the cost of bringing soil up there is fucking a pain in the ass. Let me see. The cost, $10,000 per 1 pound average to send shit into orbit. Okay. So we're going to bring soil up there at $10,000 a pound? That's fucking crazy. And the Earth soil will slowly die anyways. Okay, so we don't know the ramifications of living without the soil. It's very, very cost prohibitive to bring it up there, so what the fuck do we do about that? Huge problem. Number 8, there's going to be cramped quarters on Mars if we make this happen, and you might be stuck in a confined small space with people that smell like shit and that are assholes and that you don't quite like. They may even be Russian. Oh, my God. And so what's that going to do? I mean, there's a term called space madness. I would think that would lead to space madness. So, you think you got a shitty roommate for a weekend. I mean, imagine this shit. I mean, this is crazy. The psychological health on Mars could be brutal. Long-term isolation, long-term seclusion, stress, possible brain damage, your bone density loss, all of the things. Indigestion, social isolation, a lack of variety in your environment. These are all things that happen when you live in cramped quarters in a faraway fucking, empty environment like this. We evolved in a vibrant world. When you leave that vibrant world, your brain starts creating stimuli, okay? Stimuli that your mind has come to expect. And that can create this space madness. That can create who knows what kind of sociopath that might create. We don't have enough research on the impact of this on the mind. What could that be? What sounds like insanity to me. That's what it sounds like. It's like when Jack Nicholson in The Shining goes and is isolated in this hotel, okay, in the winter, and we see what happens to him, okay? Imagine like everybody on Mars having that same fucking experience. It'd just be everybody chopping down doors with their axe to kill their lover. And, so much for the population. Number 9, shitting and pissing on Mars is a nightmare. Do I need to even go into that? Shitting and pissing at your place of employment can be a nightmare, and that's stressful enough. Never mind on Mars. You kidding me? And then lastly, we have no Wi-Fi, no hookers, no entertainment, no live jazz. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Karaoke every night? Is that what we're going to do? Shitty karaoke with some Russian, scientist? That could get old real quick. You can't play Jenga. The gravity's all fucked up. Okay, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do up there? Okay? All of these things lead to this argument that Mars is not the place to go. And if you need more convincing, I'm going to put in a quote from Neil Degrasse Tyson. You know who Neil Degrasse Tyson is. He's the coolest, smartest man in the world. And this is what he says about colonizing Mars.
Whatever it takes to terraform Mars and ship 1 billion people there. It's got to be easier to deflect the asteroid. Whatever it takes to terraform Mars to turn it into Earth. If you had the power of geoengineering to do that, then you have the power of geoengineering to turn Earth back into Earth.
But there occasionally are things that we miss, right? Because of the way that...
So you say, okay, whatever it takes to geoengineer Mars and ship 1 billion people there. It's got to be easier to create a perfect viral serum that makes us immune to all possible disease. It's got to be easier.
In light of that, I'm also going to put a link to an article from last month that NASA unveiled a plan to give Mars an Earth-like atmosphere. And we just heard from Neil what a bad idea that is, how costly that is, how stupid that is. This is why I do these things. I want all of you to recognize that this is an issue. I want all of you to recognize that you don't buy into what everybody says about what humanity should be doing. Scientists have agendas too, okay? You know, they want funding. So, of course, they're going to say, yes, it's possible to colonize Mars. Can I get $5 billion, please, to fuck around with some equipment and try and make that happen? Yeah, that's what they do. So don't buy into what anybody says about this shit. Find out, research for yourself. That's what I did. I researched the shit, okay? I came up with my own conclusion. That's what you should do about every story that you read in the media. If it interests you, before I go, I always want to tell you guys that you can find me on the social medias at facebook.com/comedian Jonesy. Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Funny Jones, FUNNYJONES. My YouTube is youtube.com/Funny Jones. My website is jonesy.com. You can find all sorts of shit on there too. Please subscribe and rate this and share it with friends. Maybe you have a scientific nerdy friend that's always talking about how Mars is a good idea. Well, send him this shit and be like, hey, asshole, educate yourself. And, you know, don't even listen to me. Go research yourself. You know, tell your friend. You should do some further research, friend. Don't just buy into what Elon Musk is saying on the interwebs, okay? Go educate yourself and figure it out. And you'll see, you know, if you have half a brain and if you're paying attention, you'll come to the same conclusion that I've come to, which is that Mars is stupid. And there's really no reason to go there. Support me at patreon.com as well. A lot of people are like, how can I support you? You're a broke comedian. That's right, I'm a broke-ass comedian. I do this shit for free. I research this myself. I come up with an outline. You know, I improv the jokes. I put this camera up here. I put this microphone here, put batteries in it. Those things cost money. Not really. I get them at the dollar store, but whatever. You understand. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/funnyjones, and you can buy me a cup of coffee. I think that's fucking helpful. Just buy me a cup of coffee. Look, I'm not asking for much. I'm not like, hey, I got an Indiegogo campaign to make a stupid web series, so give me $8,000. I'm just like, hey, buy me a cup of coffee. How about that? I think you can part with $4, $3, right? Isn't that? If you saw me in a bar, wouldn't you buy me a beer? Well, beers are $7 out here in LA. All right? So you buy me a beer, right? Just buy me a fucking cup of coffee. Go to patreon.com, patreon.com/funnyjones to find out more about that. And as I will always remind you at the end of these, don't believe, don't follow, don't consume, don't watch. Free your effing mind. I'm Jonesy.